A very warm welcome to you. Many thanks for finding time to join us on this week's edition of the program. Don't forget to remain your source for all the latest happenings in the world of business. I hope you're keeping safe and maintaining social distancing because that is our new normal. Welcome to the show. My name is Lucy Ulubi. On the lineup this week, first we join Faith and our guest, Professor Segun Ajibola, a professor of economics at Babcock University, on the CEO Rendezvous, where they examined the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the economy, the banking sector in perspective. Speaking during the course of the interview, Professor Ajibola said that the high percentage of non-performing loans in the banking system is as a result of banks' desperation for borrowers. To take a listen.
You don't hawk credit. You don't look for who to borrow, who want to borrow from you. Borrowers call, and conservatively, you assess the proposals and determine the bankability scientifically, both qualitative and quantitative. But what is happening recently is banks are now desperately looking for borrowers. And when you are desperate in looking for borrowers, you are bound to make mistakes.
On this edition also, we will bring you highlights of the Professional Insurance Ladies Association PILA rally against rape and sexual harassment against women that took place recently at the Ndubisi Kanu Park, Alausa. The association, in partnership with the Lagos State Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, calls for stiffer sentences for offenders. To take a listen.
Rape is wrong. The rapist should be given a death sentence to serve as a very, very strong deterrent to would-be rapists. It is barbaric. It should never be part of the society.
And we all say, no rape!
Plus, of course, all the other extras will bring you each week on the program. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the lineup. Details in just a moment. Please stay with us.
A very warm welcome to you. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the site of Almond Finance and Wealth Reports. Today on the program, we'll be looking at the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy, but we are putting the banking sector in perspective. To do justice to our topic of discuss is no other than Professor Segun Ajibola, who is Professor of Economics at Babcock University. He's also a past president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, CIBN. He's also currently on the board of council of the CIBN. He's my guest on the program today, and together we'll be looking at these issues and some of these issues that are related to that. Thank you so very much, Prof, for finding time to talk to us in this new normal environment that we are operating in. Thank you so very much, sir.
Thank you very much, and you are welcome.
Thank you. Okay, Prof, let me kick off by asking, the global economy is presently facing extreme headwind due to the disruption caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Nobody saw it coming. No business model prepared any organization for what we are seeing right now, which a lot of people have actually said it is worse than the Great Depression of 1929.
That is.
So I just want your take on that.
Yes, the COVID-19 pandemic caught everybody unaware, and in its wake, locked down the global economy, international trade, flow of business across regional boundaries were completely cut off. And because economic transactions could not take place, airports, seaports have been locked down, just recovering now. And that created a lot of dislocation and disconnect among the different tiers of a typical economy. Production of goods and services, in some cases, completely shut down. And as normal human beings, we keep consuming. So with this kind of situation, you now see the volume and the aggregate of economic transactions within each country, between countries, among countries, taking a dive to the south. In other words, significant decline. So the implications are so clear. Poverty index in most countries is already on the rise. Economic recession is already knocking doors. Unemployment is already becoming feasible. And even banking, that is the commanding height of any economy, that provides the stimulus for activities, has been haphazard in most countries of the world. If we come to Nigeria, we notice the devastating effects of COVID-19. So dramatic, so pathetic in some cases, and so disruptive. Generally, we notice that so many industries, so many factories, so many establishments have closed down business in March. Many of them are still struggling because they could not import raw materials. They could not get their spares, and their factory workers and so on. Unfortunately, the pandemic reared its ugly head in our environment here during the planting season.
Exactly.
For farmers. So it disrupted agricultural activities that we are praying that there will be significant shortage of food in the coming months.
Okay, Prof, you rightly said the IMF, World Bank, the African Development Bank, and other notable organizations and institutions have predicted that the global economy will slip into recession, Nigeria inclusive. And already recent report shows that the Nigerian economy contracted in July for the third consecutive month. Many believe that the economy is taking the hit because of our over-dependence on crude oil exports. What's your thoughts on that?
If we look at the projections of World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and some other international rating agencies, is that sub-Saharan Africa will lose about $37 billion to this pandemic. And if we come back home, we have been told that before the turn of the year, our economy will recess by about 3.5%. We pray it's not worse. So if what we have...
Possibility of it being worse.
Possibility of it being worse is because of what we have seen happening in the agri sector. Almost every operator in the agri sector, the poultry business in particular, they have accommodated a lot of shortages in their day-old chicks, even their product, their eggs, and so on and so forth. Lots were wasted during the lockdown. Then I've mentioned the Greek. In fact, in the middle belt now, which is the food basket of Nigeria, the outcry is so loud that harvest for this year will be far from being robust. So when we put all these things together, then with the epileptic performance of the global oil market, we pray it's not worse than what has been projected. And like you said, in the last 3 months, we'll be grappling with problem of downturn in overall economic performance. For now, people have been talking about post-COVID. This post-COVID, that post-COVID. COVID has not announced
its exit.
Its exit.
Okay.
So it's a matter of conjecture. So that is why I'm saying, if we look at the dislocation among the various economic agents globally, we still cannot predict accurately what will be the overall end of this pandemic and its devastating effects. on the various economies. So I will not fully talk about the Nigerian economy, the global economy post-COVID, because I don't know when COVID is exiting. But I would rather want to concentrate on how we can adjust to what you refer to as the new normal, to be able to keep life, body and soul together, and continue to navigate the economy forward in the midst of COVID-19.
Okay, sir. Well said. I do know that part of what we've been saying, and we've been saying, a lot of people say, oh, this sector has been badly hit, this is that, we've been affected badly by the COVID-19 pandemic. But I just want your thoughts, looking at all of these challenges that we have seen, which sector of the Nigerian economy would you say is worst hit by this crisis?
Every sector of our national economy has taken a bite from COVID-19. But agriculture, especially the farming, the poultry aspect of our agricultural sector in Nigeria, has been badly hit. Followed by what I will call the informal sector, the artisans, the traders, those who eke out a living out of daily hustle that were locked down, the vulcanizers, the hairdressers, the caterers, they have been badly hit. Then follow by those who are operating micro, small to medium enterprises. Most of them rely on one kind of imported item or the other, mostly as of today from China. They couldn't get them in. Most of them have not been able to open shop and operate their micro, small, medium enterprises since March. So they've been badly hit. Then even if we look at the top corporates, even multinationals, some of them are highly dependent on imported raw materials. Some exhausted their buffer stock. Some could not get replacement. Some have to retrench their factory workers in particular. Some have to cut down on their volume of production. They've been badly hit. What of the education sector? Schools have not been able to reopen, although in many cases they've been able to latch on modern technology to continue virtual learning. But it's not across the board. Most public institutions, from primary to secondary to tertiary institutions in Nigeria, have not been able to key into virtual learning. So the students have been home, roaming about. The lecturers have been jobless. The institutions are rotting away. So everybody has taken a bite. Churches, the religious institutions, they still remain closed in most places. So everybody has been a victim of COVID-19. So we just pray that at the end of the day, there will be victory. But we need to do a lot to re-energize and reposition.
Prof, now let's bring it home to your top. To what extent would you say that this pandemic has affected the banking sector?
Banking, whatever is happening in the banking sector is a reflection of what is happening in the economy. When the economy is robust, when the economy is booming, when everything is going on well, banking enjoys that kind of environment. But when the opposite is the case, banking also suffers from whatever the devastating effects of such an era brings out. You will notice that in March, most banks also closed down.
Yes.
Well, again, we've been able to make use of technology, alternative payment channels, and so on and so forth to continue life. But it has never been business as usual. So you are aware of banks that have also laid off their staff. You are aware of banks that have cut down on the operating hours. You are aware of banks that have rationalized branches and so on and so forth. So these are the real impact of COVID-19 on banking services in this environment. If you look at data from the regulatory authorities, during the last few months, I think starting from March, April, May, the percentage of currency in circulation as component of our money supply, money stock in this environment, the currency in circulation, the percentage went up, and that is clear. Some that were still able to trade, some that were still able to generate cash from their businesses, had no banks to lodge in the money. Some banks were not accepting deposits. So, and when the component of currency in circulation of total money supply in an economy goes up, it's a very bad signal. It signals confusion. It signals downturn in the quantum of economic activities in such an environment. So the impact on banking has been very tremendous. And when there are no economic activities, when factories are not working, when schools are not opening, when traders here and there, they are not in business, when even the hustlers, they cannot go out, these are sources of business to banks. So when those businesses are not all, then the banks cannot be comfortable. And that is the situation we are today.
Okay, Prof. It does appear that even before this pandemic, the banking sector already had its hydrogen problems of non-performing loans. As recent figures released by the CBN puts bank non-performing loan at 1.2 trillion as at June 2020. This is about 6.4% of the 18.9 gross credit of banks to the economy. How did the banking sector get here?
Yes, I'm aware of the statistics, and if you ask me, I will say that even the percentage quoted as non-performing is grossly understated, going by what we know. You see, lending is a very, very difficult task for any bank. I was trained as a credit analyst, and the business of lending was the main business I handled for about 3 decades that I was in the banks, rising through the ranks. It's a very difficult, very tasking job. It's not something that can be handled with levity. It's not something that is expected to be compared on banks. Some of us raised eyebrow when the Central Bank of Nigeria insisted that 65% of bank deposits must go for loans. Now, as a trained banker, trained credit analyst, you don't hawk credit. You don't look for who to borrow, who want to borrow from you. Borrowers call, and conservatively, you assess the proposals and determine the bankability scientifically, both qualitative and quantitative. But what is happening recently is banks are now desperately looking for borrowers. And when you are desperate in looking for borrowers, you are bound to make mistakes. But the pity of it is this: that mistake you make today may not manifest until 2, 3, 4, 5 years' time, when those loans will prudentially have gone bad. So what we are even seeing now is a reflection of the mistake of the past. The mistakes of the present, born out of desperation to lend, we have not started to see.
Welcome back. Moving on, we now bring you highlights of PILA rally condemning violence against women that took place in Alausa. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been a rise in the cases of rape and domestic violence against women. This, the women say, is unacceptable. Happy viewing.
The Professional Insurance Ladies Association, PILA, is the foremost female professional body in Nigeria, established in 1973 as an affiliate of the Chartered Insurance Institute of Nigeria. PILA serves as an advocacy group to promote gender mainstreaming and equal opportunities in the insurance sector. PILA, in partnership with the Ministry of Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, recently held a rally to demand for justice for victims of rape and sexual harassment at the Ndubisi Kano Park, Alausa. Kickstarting a message at the rally, the president of PILA, Mrs. Joyce Ojemudia, called on the Lagos State government to take the issue of rape more seriously.
We are appealing to government of Lagos State to take the issue of rape seriously. For example, if you harass, the law says that you are to be in prison for 3 years. If there is sexual assault, it's for 14 years. And if you are involved in both, it's for life imprisonment. But we've never really seen people brought to this law, people being punished, and we are demanding justice. Just during the lockdown from January to date, the statistics of the rape cases, they have risen drastically. We have statistics that says the reported case is up to 3.6 million. We are appealing to government today to bring them to justice, even from the stage of harassment, so that they will not go to the stage of assault. Government, we believe in our government, and we believe that justice should be served.
Also, lending their voices to condemn the rising cases of rape and sexual abuse against women and demanding for stiffer punishment for offenders were past presidents of PILA, Mrs. Sheyi Faturoti, Mrs. Folashade Ononuga, Mrs. Jocelyn Ogbokiri, and Mrs. Femi Ogun. Others who also spoke at the rally were the Vice President and Deputy President of PILA, Mrs. Abimbola Onokumaya and Mrs. Margaret Moore. Also not left out was Mrs. Shola Osho, Chairman of Socios, PILA. Welcoming members of PILA to the rally, the Honorable Commissioner for Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Lagos State, Mrs. Bolaji Dada, said that the ministry was happy to collaborate with PILA in the war against rape and gender-based violence.
We as a ministry are ready to collaborate with all women groups, to all Lagosians, to collaborate with all women-focused NGOs to fight this menace and to say no to rape. Rape is barbaric, rape is evil. No to all forms of gender-based violence. No to sexual harassment. So I'm happy on behalf of the Ministry of Women Affairs to collaborate with PILA also in this work against rape.
The number of rape cases, some of which in centers, has been on the rise since the COVID-19 pandemic. As such, many have called on governments at all levels to make the issue of rape and sexual violence against women a national emergency.
For the women who have been raped that has been quiet, I want to admonish them to live their lives as normal again. They shouldn't allow that incident to destroy their lives, and they should guard against it in the future.
For me, the minimum that anybody should get for raping our children, for raping our women, is life imprisonment, the minimum.
And that's our time on the program this week. Many thanks for your company. To keep a date with us, same time, same station next week for a fresh package. In the meantime, feel free as always to connect with us on all our social media platforms. Now, if you missed any part of today's edition, you can watch it on our YouTube channel, Almond Finance TV. My name is Lucy Lube, and from the entire team, please stay safe. Bye-bye.